Broncos are going to lose today. Never. It's nothing special. Small. 49ers are biased on KD. That is a stupid idea. No. If I can take it when my team, I'll give the coach the benefit of the doubt. Madden 21 was so bad.
I'm so last time I'm getting my body again.
Has he played? Has he started in the
Right to tell you.
Tag him on Instagram. Second, in all these tantrums. I could have. Monte Foreman coming out of Texas.
Truly appreciate the offer.
What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 5 of That One Dude 2020, right here on the MI6 Sports Network, pretty much every single Thursday at 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But ladies and gentlemen, this weekend is Super Bowl 55. But before we do, Isaiah, you better get ready. Yeah, Isaiah, you say not to expose yourself. But man, if you wouldn't send those embarrassing texts, this probably wouldn't have happened. But ladies and gentlemen, to a quick or maybe quicker Isaiah Roast Sesh. So first of all, Cal says, "What's up, Cal? Hope you're doing well again." No, Cal McClurg is doing what he's doing such great things. But Isaiah, the first one here, folks. Isaiah talks so much smack in football fantasy like he did in basketball fantasy. He said it was going to be a cakewalk. He drafted Kevin Love. Isaiah Leong lost in fantasy football to a 60-year-old, to a 70-year-old, and I believe another 60-year-old retired man that doesn't even watch football. So Isaiah claiming that he talks about his 49ers. Isaiah talking about he talks about Michigan. He keeps hyping up all these teams. But yet in fantasy football, with some friends or from our old work crew, loses against senior citizens. He loses against people that could be in a retirement home. Loses against people that could live in a retirement community. Isaiah, I don't know where you're at, but you're probably drinking a virgin pina colada or drinking one of those white girl coffee or drinks, or maybe some random McDonald's sugary drink that you always do every single time. Now, Isaiah, folks, Isaiah made a bet. And Isaiah, I'm going to call you out here on That One Dude 2020. I hope James Gonzalez, I hope Kyle McClurg, I hope everybody calls him out on this. Isaiah made a bet. I don't remember specifically what it was about, but Isaiah was saying that if he lost the bet, he has to eat an entire packet of butter, record the video, and put it on Facebook. Yet again, people, Isaiah has to eat an entire packet of butter, post the video on Facebook. And folks, like I say, even if Isaiah loses a bet, and if you're going to make a bet, Isaiah, or anybody, you don't do something crazy like that. It didn't have to be stick of butter. You could bet $2, $5, Isaiah, if you wouldn't have been embarrassing yourself yet again, ladies and gentlemen. But for the first part of the Isaiah Roast Sesh, this would be Isaiah holding a McDonald's cup of coffee, trying to hop over his fence, and then he falls. This is exactly how it would look like, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh! I've McFallen! I'm sorry. I've McFallen.
That's exactly how Isaiah would be, because all he drinks is McDonald's coffee and blah blah. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why. And another thing, Isaiah talked trash. Colin can vouch for me here on basketball fantasy. He said it would be a cakewalk. He's the same guy that said the Warriors would win the 2021 NBA championship if they drafted LaMelo Ball. Keyword, I'll say this again. Isaiah said if the Golden State Warriors draft LaMelo Ball in the 2020 NBA draft, the Warriors would be crowned 2021 NBA champions. This is coming from the same guy that he'd eat a raw egg on television, had to do it on the night shift. Martin was there, I was there, Isaiah was there. It's the same guy that used to eat a packet of butter. And Chrissy, I don't know if it's salted or unsalted butter. He wasn't too sure. But just for this bet, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to make sure it's unsalted butter. Isaiah, if you will make any crazy bets, you don't have to. It could be just betting $5 or maybe a $5 have a sandwich or anything else. But you decide to, and you decide to send those embarrassing messages, those embarrassing text messages of those crazy bets you made. Now, Callan, of course, shares it to the group chat because you're like, oh, don't show the group, don't show the group, don't show the guys. What do you think Isaiah truly and genuinely is going to happen? He's like, no, it's okay. I don't want Isaiah to embarrass himself. We do appreciate you on this network, but man, when you love to embarrass yourself, I have to do a quick roast test every single Thursday here on the show. Isaiah also said if the Warriors trade Steph Curry and give the keys to LaMelo Ball, the Warriors would win the 2021 NBA championship. Mind you, probably already knew Klay Thompson was going to be out for the whole year again with another torn ACL. Folks, I know for me, not all the sports bets I make are going to be right, but at least I bet like $2, $3, or I'll buy you dinner or I'll buy you a drink. Of course, drinks could be like soda, water, anything. But those small bets don't hurt you. $20 here and there every couple years for a Super Bowl, that's all good. But Isaiah wants to somehow, most of his bets, if you realize this here, folks, most of his bets when it comes to sports, he's betting with food. We know Isaiah likes food. I know no food type, I'm talking about roasting. Every single bet, the butter, the egg, potentially something else. It's always around food. Who knows? Otherwise, Isaiah can embarrass himself. But two more things Isaiah said before we get to the NFL segment. Here we're talking about my opinion of the Rams and Lions trade, and of course some other things happening around in the NFL. Isaiah Leong also said LaMelo Ball would be better than Magic Johnson. Let me say this again. Isaiah Leong said in a private chat, and then it was posted on our group chat on the MI6 Sports Network. Isaiah said LaMelo Ball would be better than Magic Johnson, who is a Hall of Famer, doing what he did in his career. I mean, this is the guy that hopped over his fence with literally, I believe, a hot cup of coffee from McDonald's. I don't know if he fell over the fence. I don't know if he was McFallen. Tried to get in his own house. Forgot the code. The alarm was set off by AT&T, and the cops came thinking it was a burglar. It's just Isaiah forgetting the code to his own house. This is the same guy that flushed his phone down the toilet and was pretending to be a baseball player and broke his computer. So, folks, just a quick roasting of Isaiah. Jensen also says, I've McFallen, haha. Again, I'm not laughing that she fell, but when she says, I've McFallen, it's what she said. I think that really made it funny to me, and I thought that video was perfect here, James, just because we know Isaiah loves McDonald's, and surprised he hasn't bought any stock for McDonald's. As remember Isaiah's reaction to James Wiseman getting drafted by the Warriors? That's hilarious because he talked about LaMelo Ball. Again, there's no doubt I think LaMelo Ball has some talent. But to say that you trade Steph Curry, give LaMelo Ball the keys, and they will be in the 2021 NBA Finals and win it, it's just a little bit crazy. But that's all we have here. That one, dude, 2020. Just a quick Isaiah Roast Sesh every single Thursday. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the longly awaited, I finally get to say live, Super Bowl 55. The current GOAT versus the future potential GOAT. One of the questions as I'm writing this content for tonight is who's the better starting quarterback? We can classify this, folks. People have different opinions. When we talk about who's the better starting quarterback, is it in terms of arm talent? Is it the mentality on the field? It's how do you get the best out of your weapons? Do you best spread the ball around? Lack of turnovers? There's so many different situations here, like I talk about. But my opinion, and maybe this is going to rub people the wrong way, but I say Tom Brady is. Now, I understand people can have different opinions. Let me talk about it from both sides. But why I pick Tom Brady. I understand Patrick Mahomes has the better arm. But again, it's not just having the better arm. You could have the better arm. But mental, how's your mentality throughout the game, despite what the stats are, despite what the situation is? That's why I give Tom Brady the edge. That's why we can go back just a little bit to the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl. The mentality. He didn't have the greatest arm in that game for the most part. The mentality, instead of freaking out, instead of going all postal, instead of throwing his helmet down, folks, you know what he did? They came back, kept calm, was composure. He kept calm. That's the thing why I give Brady over Mahomes. So we can talk about different reasons. Mahomes have the better arm. Mahomes is younger. All these different situations, all these different opinions. But folks, I'm gonna have to say, I picked Tom Brady. I think he's a better quarterback in this game over Mahomes. Now, who has a brighter future? Again, who knows? Isaiah says Fresno, here I come. But Isaiah, you make sure don't buy the wrong plane ticket or spend an extra $120 or $13 on just a couple of fries and little Parmesan crust on top there. Begin back to the NFL segment. Super Bowl 55. Tom Brady, the current GOAT versus Mahomes, the future GOAT. Question mark. But again, I'm gonna have to say Tom Brady is a better quarterback. The mentality, the mental state of Tom Brady, I trust more than Mahomes because again, Mahomes has done so many amazing things already in the NFL. But Tom Brady, when you poke the bear, I said this the whole entire playoffs. I said this almost a year ago. My second ever video on the That One Dude 2020 Facebook page. Again, it wasn't that much of a far cry take. I said the Bucs are Super Bowl contenders. People say, well, it's not that far of a take. Well, maybe not. They had the same roster in 2019. Very similar roster in 2018. Cameron Brate was a free agent in 2014 and got re-signed in 2018 to a 4 or 5 year deal. They had Tom Brady. Put in a couple different quarterbacks in the system. Do they go to the Super Bowl? No. I understand Tom Brady doesn't have maybe the arm. I don't understand that Tom Brady doesn't have the arm he used to. He's getting older. Bruce Arians finally wants to win a Super Bowl. He was so close with the Arizona Cardinals. But now I'll talk about another side of this. We talked about Brady versus Mahomes. Why I pick Brady, I understand the expectations. I understand that all the things of going back to back. It's really hard to do that. The New England Patriots did that in 2003 and 2004. But talking about the coaching side of this, I say Andy Reid, but obviously there's more pressure. There's more all eyes on Bruce Arians, who formerly did spend some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, they drafted Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown now is most likely going to be starting in this game in his first ever Super Bowl. Folks, here you could have the best coach, you could have the best weapons, but what's going to come down? Who's going to want it more? Who's more hungry? I know we've heard this before, but does Bruce Arians truly want to win a Super Bowl? Does it really matter to him? And I believe it does. Because if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl this year, in the next year or two, he's going to retire. Think about it. They were in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago. I believe they lost. I forgot who it was. So correct me if I'm wrong, James Gonzalez or anybody in the comment section below. So close to the Cardinals. He did retire and previously before that spent some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who unfortunately just weren't able to get it done and get to the Super Bowl in terms of Bruce Arians' time with the Steelers here, folks. But there's more pressure, no doubt, on Bruce Arians just because they couldn't do anything with Jameis Winston. But I give the edge to Tom Brady. But coaching-wise, Andy Reid. But there's without a doubt more pressure on Bruce Arians. There's no doubt he's a good coach. Well, it could cement his legacy is going to have to be winning a Super Bowl. That was the biggest thing looming around Andy Reid for a long time, which was what? Can he win a Super Bowl? They played New England before, came so close. It goes Donovan McNabb, Brian Westbrook, and all those guys couldn't get it done. But now Andy Reid won the Super Bowl last year, so he's cemented his legacy as a great coach. You can have all the wins, but can you win the final game, which is Super Bowl? The Super Bowl. Without a doubt. I'm kind of going to these next couple of questions that I really want to expand people's minds to kind of give my genuine opinion. But in the comment section below, anybody that's watching, anything else like that, I would love to hear your opinions. Who do you think is a better quarterback? Who do you think is more under pressure in this game? Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, or on the coaching side, Bruce Arians, or of course Andy Reid, who is a Super Bowl champion from 2020. But ladies and gentlemen, The question here, the biggest one out of everything else we're going to talk about tonight, does Patrick Mahomes need to beat Tom Brady? And the answer is yes. Can Patrick Mahomes dethrone Tom Brady? And for me, my answer for right now is no. Because I understand what Patrick Mahomes has done. I understand they face each other in a 2019 AFC Championship game. I understand the past. I understand what Mahomes can do. I know he has the better arm. We get all these different factors here, folks. But I trust Tom Brady more. Tom Brady has the experience, but I don't think Mahomes can beat Brady. I think I'll say right now, 16 minutes in, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning Super Bowl 55. That is my genuine opinion. I can't wait for the Super Bowl. We're talking back to this. Patrick Mahomes, I don't believe right now can dethrone Tom Brady. Is Patrick Mahomes potentially the future GOAT in the NFL? Without a doubt. But folks, if Patrick Mahomes cannot beat Tom Brady, he's not the future GOAT. Because in anything, it's not just football, it's not just baseball, it's basketball. In any type of sport or any type of career, to be the best, you have to beat the best. You could have the best numbers, you can have all these rings, that's great. But did you beat the best? Did you conquer your fears? Did you get that thing that you were struggling with? Did you dethrone it? That's the question I'm asking here with Patrick Mahomes. We know what he brings to the table. We know what Andy Reid brings to the table. We know what the roster that they have. We know about Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and all these other guys. Le'Veon Bell's first ever Super Bowl. We know all these other weapons. I understand. But the question is here, ladies and gentlemen. If Patrick Mahomes does not beat Tom Brady, will he ever be the future GOAT in the NFL? I would love to hear y'all's opinions in the comment section below, but in my genuine opinion, my answer is no. Because if you cannot beat Tom Brady, then what are you going to do next year? What if happens next year? What if you lose in the AFC Championship game or the division round? Is there going to be some questions? Yes, there's no doubt the Chiefs are headed in the right direction. I don't care what you did last year. This is the thing about the Super Bowl. Last year doesn't matter. This current regular season does not matter. We're in the Super Bowl. We're in Super Bowl 55. There's a fact. Patrick Mahomes has to beat Tom Brady. And if Patrick Mahomes can't beat Tom Brady, I don't know or how Tom Brady could be the future GOAT of the NFL. Because if to be the best, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you have to beat the best. They would beat Goliath. Patrick Mahomes has to beat Tom Brady. There's no option if he loses. I don't want to hear any excuses. Oh, it's because of toe turf. No, a win's a win. We want to talk about wins and championship. You criticize Toronto for injury-riddled Warriors, but then we praise the Lakers for beating a injury-riddled Heat. So be consistent with your argument here. Patrick Mahomes injured, no excuses. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have to beat Tom Brady and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I believe Mahomes is under more pressure to beat Tom Brady than Andy Reid is to beat Bruce Arians because there's the GOAT conversation. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't think Patrick Mahomes cares about being the GOAT. But in terms of conversations, in terms of future debates, in terms of future content, Patrick Mahomes has to beat Tom Brady. I don't care the excuses. It has to absolutely happen here. But before we move on to a couple of topics here, let's get to what do the people have to say here. Christy Wilson comes to say the Cowboys went back-to-back. That's true. In 1992 and in 1993. Edward Lee comes in. What's up, Edward? Hope everything is well with you, as with Christy and James Gonzalez. I bet the Chiefs is going to be the next champion, or currently, maybe the current champion if they do win it back-to-back. Again, there's without a doubt a chance that Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs can win back-to-back. But again, it's a Super Bowl. Winning it back-to-back is not as simple as maybe getting a week one and week two back-to-back wins in the regular season. There's so much more pressure. Even if it's the AFC champ, or not the AFC championship game, but the AFC divisional round. Well, you have to get past that. You can win those back-to-back. But the Super Bowl is a different game. What we talking about is a different game because it's differently mentally. This is why I say the mentality I give to Tom Brady. Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl 9 times. This will be his 10th Super Bowl. If Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, which He will. It's not just Tom Brady's going to win it. It's the entire Tampa Bay Bucs organization, who hasn't won it since 2002, I believe, with John Gruden and that roster they had and that monster defense. But Tampa Bay, there's no doubt, is going to win this game. I have us the Super Bowl 55 champions here. Christy Wilson also says that the Chiefs defense can get to Brady, good point, and makes them nervous like the Giants did. They do have a chance. Again, Christy, I'm not saying the Chiefs don't have a chance. They, without a doubt, have a chance to win this game. It's going to be one of those. I understand we say this in the past, but specifically in this game with the GOAT conversation and potentially is Tom Brady going to retire in the next 2 to 3 years? Who knows? All these potential thoughts in our head. I definitely think there is a chance, but it's going to be one of those. You cannot settle for field goals. It has to be touchdown or failure. This is not like a regular season against the Bucs and Saints. Oh, you can settle for a field goal here, or maybe we'll see what happens. We lose. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Field goals are not an option for the Chiefs, and field goals are definitely not an option for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When we talk about both sides, Patrick Mahomes, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The only thing you can do to stop the Chiefs, really, is you can't stop Patrick Mahomes, is really stop their weapons, is you have to keep them off the field. And even then, it's nearly impossible. Even then, it's nearly hard. This is why I go back to the mentality. The mental state of a game is how can you keep them off the field? Yes, they're getting some yards down the field. Is that going to get you distracted? Is that going to get you frustrated? Let's go back to the Seattle Super Bowl. Of course, you know what happened at the end with the Malcolm Butler interception. They were down 10 points. What did they do? Did Tom Brady freak out? Did Tom Brady throw a tantrum? And Tom Brady's like, oh, we're done. It's over. No. That's why he's one of the many, many reasons why Tom Brady is the GOAT. And I'll say it here before we continue on with the Super Bowl 55 discussion here, folks. Tom Brady wins his 7th Super Bowl. Even now, Tom Brady is, in my opinion, more accomplished or better than Michael Jordan. There's no discredit. Michael Jordan is the GOAT of basketball. But Tom Brady doing what he's doing at 43 years old with a physicality type game for many, many years in the Super Bowl, he's been the oldest starting quarterback in NFL history here. So there's no doubt, in my opinion, the Bucs without a doubt going to win this game. But if I have to say, it's going to be a close one. It's going to make me nervous without a doubt. This next question I really want to ask any of y'all that are watching. If Patrick Mahomes loses in Super Bowl 55, will his legacy be affected in a negative way? And I'll ask that question one more time. If Patrick Mahomes loses in Super Bowl 55, will his legacy be negatively affected? I would love to hear y'all's opinions here right in the comment section below. Will Patrick Mahomes' legacy be affected negatively if the Kansas City Chiefs are not able to pull the upset against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again in Super Bowl 55, as the Bucs are first team, I believe, in NFL history to host the Super Bowl in their home town here? Christy Wilson says one word is no. The reason why I say yes, not 100%, but just for now. Because whenever Tom Brady retires, we'll get to that point. But until then, I think his legacy definitely could be negatively affected if he does lose the Super Bowl this year. Because, again, there's so much pressure going back-to-back. You could have the greatest roster, but it doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win back-to-back Super Bowls. If you lose this Super Bowl and Tom Brady continues to play, let's say, hypothetically, maybe I'm crazy, the next 3 to 4 years at best, and Tom Brady continues to get to the playoffs and deep in the playoffs, it's going to be years and years before Patrick Mahomes can really be the new GOAT of the NFL. And the question is here, I would love to hear y'all's opinion. If Tom Brady wins Super Bowl 55 and gets ring number 7, should Tom Brady retire? Because really, in my opinion, I don't think Tom Brady should retire. Again, we talk about when to retire. We talk about Peyton Manning with my Denver Broncos in 2015, that miserable season. I know we didn't win the Super Bowl because of Peyton Manning. We know the legacy of Peyton Manning. We know the legacy of Tom Brady. We know the legacy of past quarterbacks. We know what happened with Donovan McNabb. But I do think some quarterbacks, even though it's really hard to admit, sometimes we don't want to swallow our pride. We have to know when to retire. But I think if Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl and I say Tom Brady, but the Bucs win the Super Bowl, of course he's not going to retire. He's 43 years old, 4,300 plus yards. 30 plus TDs on the year at 43 years old. I understand he had the weapons. You lost OJ Howard for the year. The offense line parts of the year wasn't necessarily getting it done. Maybe Leonard Fournette's getting the job done. You signed Antonio Brown. So many different aspects here. And of course, Christy Wilson says, yes, he has everything and really has nothing else left to prove. Without a doubt, he has nothing else left to prove. But I think if Tom Brady wins his 7th Super Bowl, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Let's say Tom Brady wins it this year, which I believe he will. In a year or two, wins another one. In less than 25 years, Tom Brady would have more Super Bowl rings than the entire Steelers franchise. If the Bucs win it this year, in 21 years or less, Tom Brady has as many rings total as the Steelers franchise of all time. So that does give another reason, another ammo to why Tom Brady is the GOAT. I know we can have our different opinions. I know it sounds like maybe I'm Tom Brady fan, because he's winning. I am only a fan of him now, not because of his winning, because he's able to prove me wrong. Folks, here we have sports and we have pride. If we're not able to swallow pride and to admit when we're wrong in a sports take or when in a sports bet or about a player, then we're not going to make it in the sports industry here, folks. I'll admit time and time and again, I have bet against Tom Brady, and I've been proven wrong every single time, which is why I can no longer bet against Tom Brady. And James Gonzalez, I didn't even think about this, so thank you for mentioning this. He said the Pittsburgh Steelers fans must be ticked off because, again, Antonio Brown on one side and Le'Veon Bell on the other side are playing on Super Bowl Sunday. I couldn't agree more. You made a point that I forgot to make just because, again, the Steelers many times were so close to Super Bowl with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Mind you, those years Antonio Brown had with the Steelers were phenomenal. Le'Veon Bell had those years when he was one of the best running backs in the league. If you look at the numbers and what they couldn't do, whether it was Tomlin's fault, whether it was Antonio Brown's fault, or whoever, we're not here to attach blame. But I, without a doubt, agree. James Gonzalez's comment is one of the best comments I've seen in terms of the situation. Steelers fans are going to be mad because they know the roster they had. You had Antonio Brown, you had Emmanuel Sanders for a bit, then you traded to the Denver Broncos. You know what Emmanuel Sanders is with the Saints, who are not in the Super Bowl yet again. But the point is, I can't imagine what the Pittsburgh Steelers fans are feeling right now. But my question is, when we talk about the Tampa Bay, or question just thoughts, when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, what is a factor? I said 2 players. Again, they're all great players. 2 players to watch out for, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'll come on there and say I was wrong. But in my opinion, Scott Miller. Remember, he's been a big factor in the division round, especially in the NFC Championship game when the Bucs were at 14-10 with less than 9 seconds left to go up 21-10 against, I believe, the I forgot what his name was on defense for the Green Bay Packers. Kevin King, I believe, got torched by Scott Miller. So Scott Miller in Super Bowl 55, without a doubt, is going to be a huge factor. Another one here, Leonard Fournette. I understand we talk about the past with him and the Jaguars. Talking about the Jaguars necessarily, they've had running backs again and again. You had David Garrard, you had Maurice Jones-Drew, you had Leonard Fournette. Now you got this young guy after his first year in the NFL. We know what the Jaguars do, but talking about it back again with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe Fournette's going to be a big factor in this game. We can look at the playoffs, and again, the numbers may not show it, and this is why I said Nick Chubb was a big factor for the Browns a little bit, is because, yes, the numbers may not show it in yards per carry or touchdowns, but when they need to make a big play to seal the game, or to give them the advantage, or to give the Kansas City Chiefs offense frustration, Leonard Fournette is going to be that guy, and Scott Miller. I understand they have Antonio Brown, who I'd love to have on the show. I understand they got Cameron Brate. I understand they got Rob Gronkowski. I understand who else they have on that offense. I totally understand. I'm telling you, my opinion, humble opinion. Scott Miller and I believe Leonard Fournette are going to be two people you need to look out for early in this game, and of course in Super Bowl 55. But I would love to hear anybody else's opinion. Who do y'all think will be crowned the 2021 NFL champions? And again, Super Bowl 55 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday at 5:30 p.m. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the first team, I believe, in NFL history to have the host the Super Bowl in their home stadium here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we finish Super Bowl 55 talk, when we talk about Patrick Mahomes, when we talk about the Bucs, what's the biggest factor for the Chiefs? I already talked about Scott Miller and Leonard Fournette. When we talk about the Chiefs, I understand Tyreek Hill. I understand Travis Kelce. I understand all these weapons, but I'm going to have to say a little bit. I believe in this game early on, or maybe some type in the third or fourth quarter, they're going to rely a little bit on the running game. I believe Le'Veon Bell playing in his first ever Super Bowl. I believe maybe not have the most numbers, maybe have 8 to 10 carries, but each of those carries is going to be very valuable for them in this game. Again, the Chiefs are still going to lose against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm not going to make a bet like Isaiah and eat a stick of butter or eat an egg on air or lose against old men that don't watch football and fantasy football or fantasy basketball here, Calvin or Isaiah Leon. I will come on air on my show or even off my show and admit I was wrong about it. That's the kind of bet I want to make. I don't have to make a bet that embarrasses myself. Again, I believe Le'Veon Bell could be a big factor early on. But again, defenses turn to, not just in the Super Bowl last year, but in the regular season this past year, on third or fourth down and short, who is a big target Patrick Mahomes is going to go to? Is going to be Travis Kelce. So mind you, Travis Kelce, Le'Veon Bell for the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of two factor players. Of course, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side of this is Leonard Fournette and Scott Miller. Both are ballers. Both aren't maybe say the most elite of their position. They get the job done when it matters here. Again, a Super Bowl 55 pick. I picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Kansas City Chiefs. The final score, and mind you, folks, I'm learning on my score predictions, so I may be way off on this one. I say 35-32 Tampa Bay. Again, I may be wrong here, folks, but again, I'll admit when I'm wrong. But that is just my score prediction. As we move on to more football content, we'll get better and better in terms of scoring predictions for any NFL game. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we will come back in just about 30 seconds after a quick commercial break to finish the show of That One Dude 2020. We'll see you back here in just a second. Getting here, folks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a triumph against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday in Super Bowl 55. But this next thing I really want to talk about, I know before because it's been hashed out, so I'll give you my thoughts and we'll move on before we end the show tonight. That One Dude 2020, every single Thursday, 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So buyer beware. The next couple months, there will be big guests on the show. Just be patient. Promise it's going to happen. This past week or two, we talked about trades that could happen in the NFL. There were rumors about Jared Goff could be gone. I talked about is too much money, and specifically in dead cap. The Rams are already broke because their GM and the organization plays players at the wrong time. The Lions, I don't think they're going to get rid of Matthew Stafford. But folks, this past week and a half, the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Frauds. Oh, sorry, did I really say that, Jonathan, here? But both teams made a huge trade that I didn't expect. Isaiah kept hopping up. No, Matthew Stafford's going to the 49ers. No, it's going to be Matthew Stafford. But it's also the same guy that said Josh Rosen was the savior. It's a saying that said Nick Mullins was the guy. Same thing that said about many other quarterbacks. But folks, Matthew Stafford, of course, was traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and Los Angeles Rams trade Jared Goff and a couple of first-round picks to the Detroit Lions. Let's cover this, folks. The Los Angeles Rams. Again, I don't give complete fault to Sean McVay, but I give fault to the GM. I'm sorry, folks, but the GM of the Los Angeles Rams has to be absolutely laughable. And what decision has the Rams GM made in the past 4 to 5 years that has made sense for the team? I understand you have to pay your players. That is 100% without a doubt a priority here, folks. When you don't know how to pay them at the right time, that is key. And how you do it, I say this specifically. You went all in. That year they went to the Super Bowl. In the 2018 season, you went all in thinking that, we're going to get a Super Bowl and we're going to win it. But folks, they got to the Super Bowl, but they couldn't win it. Of course, then you let go of Don McKinsu. He'd Talib a year or so later retires from the NFL, trades the Miami Dolphins to get rid of cap space. And then you get Jalen Ramsey, you pay him, which is a great elite cornerback in the NFL. But now if you look at their cap situation, I don't know the numbers on top of my head, but this is also a result of the GM. The Rams have as much money as Isaiah does. Isaiah spends more money at McDonald's than the Rams have right now in terms of cap space. But Christy Wilson, I agree. The Rams have gone downhill since losing that god-awful Super Bowl against the Patriots without a doubt. Christy, I mean, it's been a long time since the Rams won a Super Bowl against Kurt Warner, who's one of the greatest playoff quarterbacks of all time, a.k.a. the greatest show on turf. But I agree, Christy. That defense did what they needed to do. They got the Patriots to only 10 points, but the offense and Jared Goff look like a deer in headlights. Sometimes if we get things when we want them versus when we need them, we're never always truly ready. And that's what I think what happened with the Los Angeles Rams. They really wanted it now. But were they ready? Clearly they were not in that Super Bowl 2 years ago. I believe in Super Bowl 53. We break it down for the Los Angeles Rams here, folks. This gets crazy. This gets insane. The amount of first-round picks for the Los Angeles Rams is something that blows my mind. The Los Angeles Rams trade all their first-round picks from Jalen Ramsey. You got Jared Goff in 2016. You got all these guys. Mind you, folks, we'll discuss here in a moment. 2016, they drafted Jared Goff in the first round. The Rams didn't have a first-round pick in 2017. No first-round pick in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and, of course, 2023. Who is part of the blame you would give it on? The GM. You trade all your first-round picks. I understand you got to get the players you think will help you with the team, but it's not always about getting the most elite players. Just because they're one of the most, or top 5 or top 6 of their position, doesn't mean they're the best fit for your organization. That's why the Patriots had success. Certain points, they didn't have necessarily the best players at all the positions, but they got the guys that are the best fit for their team, no matter what they did in the past, no matter what they didn't do in the future, what they weren't going to do potentially for the New England Patriots. The Rams GM needs to be fired. I'm sorry here, Jonathan. I'm sorry, Rams fans. I understand. The expectations are high. You traded for Matthew Stafford. You have no first-round picks till maybe 2024 or beyond. The expectations for the Los Angeles Rams is Super Bowl win or bust. That's really what I believe it boils down here, folks. You give up so much for Matthew Stafford, who I believe is a great quarterback, but with the low amount of cap space. What do you do about Michael Brockers? What do you do about so many guys on the defensive side of the ball that you need to pay? How are you going to pay them? You're already under the cap by $15+ million, give or take. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're already under the cap. Jalen Ramsey, Michael Brockers that has to get paid, Aaron Donald, so many other guys on the defense haven't gotten paid, and they're due for a big payday. How are the Rams going to pay those guys? Where's the money going to come from? You can't refinance your team like you can a home. Folks, this is not how it works in the NFL. Any team that wants to hire a GM or any GM that wants to be a GM for an organization, look at what the Los Angeles Rams did and do the exact opposite here. Again, just like we learned with John Dorsey and the Browns, it's not always about making the flashiest picks. It's not always about making the flashiest trades. It's about getting the guys that are best fit for your team. That's what I love about the NFL. There's some certainty. There's also a lot of uncertainty here, folks. The Rams just aren't going to get it done, I believe. But let me discuss it further. I believe Matthew Stafford on this team gives him a better chance than Jared Goff next year. I don't believe Jared Goff is a franchise quarterback. This is what I have talked about in the past here on past episodes of That One Dude 2020. You can check it out on the Facebook page. We talk about empty calorie stats. You can have the best passing yards, the best numbers, the underrated in terms of under interceptions, all those things. But can you win those big moments? Can you win those big games? And the question, Jared Goff couldn't. I mean, folks, here, even near the end of the 2018 season, as they get to the Super Bowl, the last couple of games back in 2018, Jared Goff had 6 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So already early on, we already saw in terms of the numbers how the Rams, it just wasn't going to work out here. You look at the GM of the Rams, do the exact opposite. I understand you have to pay the quarterback, but this is what's hard about being a GM in the NFL. When do you pay the quarterback or how? Because if you do this basic math, Jared Goff was drafted in 2016. If the Rams didn't pay him past his rookie contract, 2020 was his last year of his rookie contract. So they could have let him go after this year, and they wouldn't owe him any money, and they could have some money against the cap, and they wouldn't be as broke as they are right now. But no, they paid him early. After they lost in the Super Bowl, after Jared Goff couldn't get it done, completely listening, I believe 52.456% of his passes against the New England Patriots. This GM doesn't know what he's doing. You say it's on the GM, it's also on the organization. Obviously, you don't fire him right now because getting a guy like Matthew Stafford is a good deal. But there's so much more pressure now than there was with Jared Goff. Because now, when you look at the Detroit Lions side of this, in my humble opinion, I believe the Detroit Lions won this trade. Let me explain. If Jared Goff and somehow isn't their guy, and I don't believe he is because in the way they're rebuilding, Jeff Okudah comes back next year. Let's see what DeAndre Swift can do in year 2. You got Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones. Can you keep those guys? Since the Detroit Lions are in true rebuild mode with a new head coach, with a new GM, if it doesn't work out with Jared Goff, after 2021, they can release him and have little to no debt, or trade him. They trade or release him and have little to no dead money at all. So, folks, this shouldn't be a surprise the Lions won this trade because they're not stuck with Jared Goff. They didn't overpay him. If it doesn't work out after 1 year, they're good to go. They can draft a guy in the 2021 drafts if they're not confident in Jared Goff. And then poof, Jared Goff after a year could be gone. And the Rams are still suffering because they also overpaid and paid him at the wrong time. This is what we've seen with many organizations in the past. We do need to pay the quarterback. Do not undervalue at the quarterback position. But if you put so much money into the quarterback and don't have money at all, build bits and pieces around your team, around your offense, around your defense, around your special teams, your team isn't going to succeed. This is the same thing we've seen over and over and over again. But folks, GMs, organizations clearly don't learn. But for the first time in my lifetime, since watching football since 2006, over 15 years ago, I can honestly say that the Detroit Lions, I believe, are headed in the right direction, or it looks like they're actually headed in the right direction. They move on from Matthew Stafford and is the best Matthew Stafford. And if I'm Matthew Stafford, I would be throwing a party. You finally got out of an organization that doesn't care about you. They gave the middle finger to the Matthew Stafford, to the fans. They didn't care about Matthew Stafford. We made that clear. We've talked about the past injury history of Matthew Stafford with the Detroit Lions. When we talk about the most important thing for a franchise is the offensive line. I am so happy for Matthew Stafford, but when we look at both, the Lions won the trade, but obviously there's more pressure on the Rams because, again, they're going all in for the Super Bowl yet again. So clearly, this is great for Stafford for getting out of Detroit, But is it really great for the Rams to get him? Because if they don't even get to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game, this was a failed experiment. When a team is trying to rebuild, you got to look at the long-term solution. You have Cooper Kupp, who you paid. In 2-3 years or so, his contract's going to expire. What if the guy you drafted this year in the running back, what are you going to do with him? What do you do with Josh Reynolds? What do you do with Everett, Michael Brockers? All those guys you're going to have to pay. And how are you going to pay any of those guys when you have Matthew Stafford? Again, I'm so glad Matthew Stafford got out of Detroit. Let me make that very abundantly clear. If the Rams don't get to the Super Bowl and win it, it's a bust based on the move they made for Matthew Stafford and the amount of first-round picks they gave up. Now imagine other quarterbacks that could go into free agency that could be traded. Imagine how much they're going to ask for Deshaun Watson. How many they're going to ask for so many different quarterbacks in the NFL. It's a mystery. So many beautiful things that happen in NFL free agency here. But folks, something I like to do in football before I really do the sports shows, every single year we had the draft, and the very next year we kind of like to redo things here, kind of redoing the previous NFL draft. Again, just a couple of these. But before we kind of get to that, but again, we're redoing a little bit of the 2020 NFL draft. Again, a couple of players. Where would we really like to see them? And of course, more hard-hitting football discussions here in just a second on that one dude 2020. Of course, if you redid the 2020 NFL draft, the Bengals, of course, would pick Joe Burrow. But if you look at Washington, who will they actually pick? Will they pick a quarterback? There's just so many different solutions, so many different things they could draft. But if I'm a team, if I'm Washington, will they still have picked Chase Young? Should they still pick Chase Young? There's no doubt Chase Young was that phenomenal talent. I get it. But folks, there's just so many different questions. Again, last time for tonight. We'll get back to commercial break. Give me just a second, and we'll be right back. Back here at That One Dude 2020 every single Thursday, 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're really looking back at the 2020 NFL Draft. Here we got potentially, obviously, the Bengals would redraft Joe Burrow. Phenomenal guy, had a torn ACL. Again, I wish him the best, but again, it is the Bengals organization. We know the past of certain NFL quarterbacks. You know who I am talking about. But folks, again, before we move on, let me make this clear. When there are days we're not making content, I'll put up old past videos of That One Dude 2020. So at least every single day, we can guarantee it. There's content for everybody out there that loves the network. So y'all can always be entertained. Y'all can always enjoy what we do here on the MI6 Sports Network. If you look at it, Kirsty, I think I would agree. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I would still pick CeeDee Lamb at number 17. I agree. CeeDee Lamb played phenomenal this past year. He's one of those receivers that you got to have. Is it worth it? It's another story. Maybe, maybe not. But if I'm the Jaguars, would I have drafted him without gone after Justin Jefferson? We know in the past the Jacksonville Jaguars maybe are not the best at drafting at the receiver position. They had Allen Robinson. Of course, he went. We know the situation where the Jaguars are going. But if I think of multiple teams, should my Denver Broncos have drafted Jerry Jeudy? I think he's a great player. Obviously, Courtland Sutton, it's kind of a surprise that he had the injury that he did this year. But again, there's just so many different questions of who could have drafted who. Could they have redone it again or again and again here? Folks, again, our last 1 to 2 topics here for That One Dude 2020 before we kind of end it right here. Again, I know it's a little bit of a short show, but things just happen the way that they do. But a big story from this past week, my little kid self got really, really excited here, folks, to really hear this announcement that some big video game, NCAA football, college football, is coming back.
Yes! 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 You like that? You like that?
No, I do like that. But this does weigh some kind of awareness. This does make me kind of question, EA just renewed their license with the NFL for the next 5 to 6 years to make more Madden games. So if NCAA college football is coming back, is it going to be the same people that made Madden 20? Is it going to be the same people that played Madden 21? If that is the case, it really makes me question how much time are developers really going to put into this game? Is it obviously going to be like another cash grab? What type of ultimate team are they really going to do? So kind of reading a little bit of this article, and we're going to get into it here. Again, this is the last NCAA video game was released in 2014. Okay, 2013 for the 2013-2014 college football season. Of course, we knew the lawsuit with players not being able to get paid for their likeness, and that has actually changed here, folks. So we could see players getting paid. You can see the names on the roster if they opt in it or not. I mean, it's really interesting to have college football games back. But again, folks, here in the comment section below, I would love to hear your opinion. Are any of y'all excited that NCAA college football video games are back? I'm excited for the announcement, but I'm also questioning it because if it's the same people that are making the current Madden game, I really don't expect much for it. And of course, with the rise in price of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X games, it's not worth $70. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not here to apologize for that. It's really not. EA knows my opinion on that. They blocked me on my email when I tried to get a refund. EA, if y'all are making NCAA 23, the same people that made Madden, I really have no hope. The announcement is exciting, but if they can just do mostly what they did in 14 and add some new things or bring back some old things, I would love to see what they do. Maybe they can continue to bring back Road to Glory. If they don't bring back Road to Glory, which is one of the main great things with Kirk Herbstreit and, of course, Aaron Andrews, that's the thing that I love. That's the thing that I enjoyed. But if they don't bring it back, then obviously I'm not going to be surprised because EA, we know what they've done time and time again. Well, you can look at Soft Drink TV, YouTube Pace, and made a good point. They take stuff out and they bring it back in and call it new. Hence your face of the franchise in Madden 20, which really wasn't a new added thing to the game. Jason Gonzalez comes in to say, I'm not going near an NCAA product. Again, I totally agree. This is why Madden 21 was so bad. Like you see in the trailer, I bought a PlayStation 3 and bought the old, good, classic NCAA video games. Even NCAA 07 with, I believe, Reggie Bush on the cover. Christian Wilson also comes in to say, not really for me because I'm not the biggest video game fan. Like, that's okay. I mean, if you're not, again, everybody, like I said here in the MSX, we all have our different things that we like. So we don't come from a place of judgment. If you're not excited, but that's okay. Again, everybody has their own things they're interested in, and there is nothing wrong with that. Kings and Sauce, I love this comment here. I'm making a PlayStation 2 for this one. Playing NCAA 06 was awesome back then. I agree, because that was, I believe, the last year Vince Young was in a college football game, and that was the last time in a very long time that my Texas Longhorns were relevant in the NCAA. But it's also saying in this article, over 100 FBS schools will appear in the latest EA, or it's EA, so probably not really optimistic about the game, sports college football game. Again, EA Sports is planning on to use rosters without the name, image, or player likeness, or real players according with the current NCAA rules. But again, with that lawsuit, it could be changing here. You kind of bring it down here again. 2013, they stopped production. And the first NCAA game was back in 1993. But kind of what it's saying here, folks, is when they do release it, it most likely or potentially could be the 2022 college football season. So it could be NCAA 23. But my really expectation of this is because again, folks, I 100% agree with you. We know EA doesn't care. It's the same people that make Madden 20 and Madden 21, which absolutely has not been a good game since Madden 08 when I played on the PSP or the PlayStation 3 like I have right now. Because back then, you could create your own team, your own stadium, the customization of fans. You can't do any of that. You see players on the sidelines look like they're 8 foot tall. I mean, it's just so many things. We can't be surprised if Madden So if NCAA 23 looks anything like Madden 21 or Madden 22 or Madden 20, I don't see how many years they're really going to make these games because people aren't going to like them. But again, if it's just like Madden, it's going to be a cash grab with false advertising. Jason Zollis comes in to say Madden on PS2 had better graphics than Madden now. And you're right, really, because again, the many things we talk about Madden, I stopped playing Madden 21 because again, it's like so tragic, so bad, so many glitches. Again, you can have the best graphics that look great, but when you really play the game, I enjoy the older Madden games because there's so many different features. You can play the previous moments, the best moments from the previous NFL season. And there's nothing now that is new compared to back then. You had the X Factor mode thing in Madden 20. You had something very similar, and of course, in Madden 2005 through Madden 2000, forgot whatever year. So that's not a new feature. We know EA doesn't care. EA, it is not in the game. Christopher Wilson also says to come in. I think my husband has a Madden game from the Nintendo 64. Yeah, and from the Nintendo 64 to the early to mid late days of PlayStation 3 is when it was good, and after that, you had Madden 13. Yeah, Madden 25, and so on and so forth. And we know how those games turn out. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear y'all's opinion. Any single fan of NCAA, past NCAA games, which one was your favorite? Are you really excited for potentially NCAA 23, or is this just going to be just like the current Madden games where it's false advertising and it's really not going to tickle your feathers at all in any way, shape, or form? Ladies and gentlemen, a quick announcement here before we end the show. In just under 10 days, it'd be the 1 year anniversary since I started the sports career. Of course, we're working on the Monday or February 15th, like 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That'd be like the 1 year anniversary show. And of course, we have a quick trailer for you before we kind of quick the sneak peek of a 6-minute video. Isaiah, I hope I can replicate my dominance in the new NCAA game, just like an NCAA 14. Well, Isaiah, I don't think playing on freshman mode really counts for anything. You can play on freshman mode all you want, but of course you can win. As you talk about dominance, but you're playing on freshman mode, so I don't think that really counts. And if you really want to talk about it, again, Isaiah, this next one, I'm not going to read the comics. It is pure verbal diarrhea here, begin, ladies and gentlemen. Before we end the show and get to tonight's final thoughts, quick preview: a 6-minute video of the That One Dude 2020 1 year anniversary or 1 year anniversary favorite moments from the past year. Just a quick clip here before we go into tonight's final thoughts.
Honored and blown away. But if I don't, man, I've got my health. I've got a beautiful family. I got my parents still. Like we're blessed, man. We've got 4 beautiful kids.
Yeah. I really am. Like, hear me out. I am excited about my Broncos.
A fan base that knows what you're doing before they're gonna be willing to reach out.
I've seen someone with the drive and passion to make it in the industry, like I've seen with you.
Difficulties, and also if me or someone else is busy and can't come on the show, John Alcorn comes off the bench and fills in for us and does a phenomenal job on the programs. He's not afraid to go at people, and he's a guy that you want to go to bat for. And I'm so thankful that he's part of our network.
Folks, that last part there is about a year ago for about 4 to 5 months. Used to record in the hot car. But the point is, before we really get into that, let's really go into tonight's final thoughts. Again, it has been a great show. Again, That One Dude 2020 every single Thursday, 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But like I say here, folks, the sports industry is not for everybody. There's moments where I get frustrated, and it's only been a year. Of course, I get frustrated sometimes. That's called being human. But I can tell you, like I've told people behind the scenes or off camera, what could hold on how far, or if you make it in the sports industry, is how you handle the rejections. especially when you're getting early on. You're going to get rejected more times than you are accepted. And how you handle that and how you say that will determine, for the most part, your success, or even if you make it or not make it in the sports industry. With how many people I've asked to come for interview for the show, or for potential jobs, or for potential internships. You would think if I got rejected once, then I should quit. No, that's not how it works here, ladies and gentlemen. Having reached out to 210 people for interviews, only 5 of them have said yes. But again, those 5 that have showed up, thank you all from the bottom of my heart, because you've contributed to my sports career. It means the world to me. But the point is here, folks. Less than 2.4% of the time, people accept or even respond to come into the show. And I say this for encouragement for anybody that wants to come into the sports industry. There's late nights. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not anything of those sorts. It is late night after late night, reaching out, rejection after rejection here, ladies and gentlemen. My last final thought here is what we try to do on the MI6 Sports Network here is, despite what we try to bring joy in things in each and every piece of content that we do. We understand people's days is tough, but we try to do, as the MI6 Sports Crews come together, bring joy to all the content that we do, and this is basically how we try to do it.
Avengers! Assemble.
We're a big family here. Before we go, I want to thank all the viewers for tonight. Isaiah Leong, Isaiah jinxes again, maybe a future show. I want to thank you to Christy Wilson, James Gonzalez. Of course, we got others here onto the show. And thank you all so much for the support. We have one more before I forget. I don't want to forget them. Got Shardo. We also have Edward Lee. I don't believe you came into my show before to view. Thank you so much for watching for tonight and supporting all of you. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. But again, this is That One Dude 2020. Signing off. Have a good one, and I'll speak with y'all again soon. Peace. The Broncos are going to lose today. Never. It's nothing special. Small. 49ers are biased on KD. That is a stupid idea. No. If I can take it when my team, I'll give the coach the benefit of the doubt. Madden 21 was so bad.
I'm gonna show last time I'm getting my body in shape.
Has he played? Has he started in the drive? To tell you. Tag him on Instagram. Second, in all these tantrums. I could have. I'll 4 men coming out of Texas.
Truly appreciate the offer.